many things we practice today are directly against the teachings of Jesus, including in prayer. To be a man of stature in our generation, you must talk long in prayer. Even though it doesn't make sense, keep talking long. The average Christian that speaks in tongue long doesn't know how to pray. Oh, the fact that you say many things in tongues doesn't mean you know how to pray. Because there's no scripture that says the one who speaks in tongue more, pray more. No, sir. In fact, in scriptures, there are three things you do with tongues. First of all, tongues is for signs. Not for the believers, but for who? The unbelievers. Why was the Bible saying that tongues is for sign for the unbelievers? It's because if by the Spirit I come to you now, Joseph, and you are Russian, and I tell you that by the Spirit in me, if I can speak your native language, would you believe that Yeshua is Lord? And you say yes, and by the Spirit, I'm not speaking the general Russian that is known, I'm speaking your mother's tongue, that you know there's no way I can know. That becomes a sign to you. But why is it not for the believer? It's because the aim of the manifestations of the gift is to build up the church. Tongues doesn't build up church. It is the interpretations gotten from tongues that build up the church. But guess what? The whole goalpost has been marked, has been changed with the rave of current revival junkies, and people are feeling that, oh, if I say blah 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 for 10 hours, it means I'm a man of power. The fact that it can shake the ground, it has fire, it has brimstone, doesn't mean God's voice is there. There are many things shaking the earth that is not shaking the heavens. In scriptures, they what? Spoke in tongues, prayed in tongues, and guess what? They sang in tongues. But the first thing they did was not pray, they spoke. Apostle Paul said, I thank my God that I speak utterances in tongue more than you all. He now said, if I'm to pray, I will rather pray few words in my understanding than to speak 1,000 words. That doesn't mean he's telling you that when you speak in tongue, you speak 1,000 words. Those are the things that people just run with and you're surprised. Someone will now say, oh, when you speak in your understanding, you're only saying few things, but in tongues you are saying, no, he's giving an example. He's saying, okay, it's better I even speak in my understanding few words than to say many things that you and I don't understand, because our understanding is unfruitful. Although I speak mysteries in the spirit, it cannot build us. It has no profit to us. Why? We don't know what we are saying. So guess what? To build is tied to understanding. Growth is tied to understanding. Oh my God. You see, the elders that we read about in the scriptures, many times when we saw the examples of what they pray about, it was in words. Behold their treading. Yeshua taught us that don't think that for your much speaking you'll be heard. In our generation, they tell you, pray more, pray long, and then you'll be heard. When Yeshua taught about the unjust judge and the woman that will not back down until her case was solved, he was teaching us perseverance. Even though the request is delaying, keep on persevering, having faith that no matter the delay, God will avenge you. I thank my God too that I speak in tongues, I sing in tongues, and I pray in tongues. So I'm not saying this because I don't have the gift, because that's what we do in our generation. When someone is preaching the Bible, they'll say, hey, he doesn't have it, that's why. We rejoice in darkness because darkness is suitable. A man that's not spiritual but can say shabobobo rabababa, he can say that for 10 hours. He will be angry if you take that bragging right from him. In the old times, when the gift of tongues was triggered in the church, Apostle Paul said, let he that speaks in tongues pray. So it means at the end of the day, tongue that edifies the church needs to be prayed for so that interpretation can be given together. That means the primary praying language of the church is the language of your understanding. You pray your understanding by the eternal spirit. What does it mean to pray your understanding? Pray in the language you understand so that you can articulate your body, but by the spirit. To pray in the spirit doesn't mean to speak in tongues. To pray in the spirit is to pray from the standpoint of spiritual direction. Are we together? To pray in the spirit is to pray from the standpoint of spiritual revelation. But you see, he told us that if a man would speak in tongues in the congregation, let him also pray. So are you seeing how a man is praying for his speaking in tongues? God, whenever I come to the congregation, I'm moved to speak to the people in these languages. Give me interpretation so that the church, because churches are built by understanding, that the eyes of your understanding be enlightened. Say, but he that prays in an unknown tongue, that's what we hold on to, edifies himself. But his understanding, it means you are being built in the spirit, but you have nothing to do with it. There's nothing you cannot walk with a thing you don't understand. So that's what I can be in my house alone. There's nobody I'm addressing, and I can be so as I'm led. I'm speaking mysteries. Now I don't know what I'm speaking, but to me it's a building up of my faith. Why? I know I'm doing these things supernaturally, and because I'm doing it supernaturally, it builds my faith towards that thing that helps me to be speaking in tongues supernaturally. So how come we come out of long prayer and we don't come out with love? We don't come out with mercy. You prayed long and came out and still kept malice with the person you are keeping malice with. You are fake. That's the truth. You came out of prayer. There's no mercy anymore in your heart. You came out of prayer more arrogant. You are a thief and a robber. I don't know how else to explain this thing to you. That's the truth. Now, people around you may look at you and say, this man is the action man. It will shake the earth. It will not shake the earth. Now it's easy for ignorant people too to join us. Hey, we are the fire force. You would only call fire with your mouth, but there's no fire. You will shake like the pulse of Baal, but there's no earth. He did not just shake the earth, he shake the heavens. How come, Lord, behold their threatenings, grant that special signs be done, grant boldness? How come that kind of prayer could cause a whole house to shake? A man who is in tune with God, his voice is loud, whether he's whispering or shouting. His voice is loud. A man what? A man that is in tune with God, his voice is loud, whether it's what? Whispering or shouting. If he stands and says, Father, help me, his voice is loud. If he shouts, Father, help me, his voice is loud. Why? I know this is what our youth of fire don't like to hear. They want to hear. Carry the chair on your head and begin to pray. Don't make the mistakes of the prophets. They talk by their mouth, jumping and cutting themselves, bringing harm to their body. Somehow they are gone here. Elijah came and repaired the altar and said, my Messiah, one prayed from spirit to understanding. Guess what? He acted and prayed from instruction. He prayed his obedience to instruction. That's spiritual prayer. Prayers of obedience. He was praying his obedience. I've done everything as you commanded me. Now let it know that you are the God of Israel and I am your prophet. While he was here speaking, fire fell. After the 17 hours, did fire fall? The fire is here. Could it be that you are sweating out of it? It's easy to be intoxicated by lies. I speak in tongues, I pray in tongues, I sing in tongues. But guess what? When I go to God in prayer in my room, I pray. There is no scripture that shows us that praying in understanding is a weaker version. Anyone teaching you that is teaching you something that has nothing to do with the Bible. I don't care who it has nothing to do with the Bible. Prayer is a product of spirit connection. It's a show of your devotion to God. It's a right of song to call upon their Father. So connectivity to God is very important. There are many things we do in our generation that if the apostles saw, they would weep. Where did this thing come from? You see, when there is lack of power, you need superstitions to keep you. The portal is open. If the portal open, you will need to tell us. We would know something came.